It's good to see you all today. Let's see, let me adjust my blinds. They're a little bit bright. It's overcast here, but it's amazing how much light can come in through the window. Hello. I'm glad to see you. Looks like we're going to have fun today. I have a lot of things to share as usual, and I'm willing to answer your questions. Oh, I didn't even look on Ravelry. What a ding dong. Let me look real quick at the questions for the live stream on Ravelry. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Let me see who's on here. Let's see. Rona. Hello. Sue. Anne. Hi. Libby Shorts. Melanie. Gisan. Let's see. Stephanie. Sylvia. Renee. Hello, Rainey. Renee from Rainy Atascadero. Atascadero is about maybe like 2 hours from here, and but I think we're getting some rain right now. It's amazing. We've gotten some rain the last few days. Hi, Cindy. Eric from Belgium. Diane from Utah. Amy. Sylvia, she says she's interested in the ply, find it difficult to determine ply when ordering new yarn online, lack of adequate description. I'm going to help you with that a little bit today. Teresa Brown from Maryland. And she says, bye-bye polar vortex. Yay! I'm sure you've had enough of that. Susan Powell from Adelaide, South Australia. Jilly Lynn from Southwest Germany. Carol, New York City. Jennifer, Deborah from Bakersfield. Francoise from France. Janie from New Jersey. Claudio from Berlin. And Claudio has finished one of his Starry Starry Night Socks and almost completed the other one. They are so gorgeous. Check them out on my Facebook group. Melanie, Caitlin. Oops, I jumped up. Okay. Caitlin, question, what is the ZZ yarn? I'm going to talk about that. I've got it out here, so we'll be talking about that. And Carlotta from Houston, Mary from Atlanta. Demetria, hello. Okay. Gisan says it's interesting to see where each of us is from, isn't it? We are truly a worldwide community, all here at the same time in the same place. Very cool. Okay. And Iowa from Quebec, Margit from Germany. Okay, Priscilla Lopez. Priscilla, where are you from? Priscilla, are you from Portugal? I don't remember where you're from. Lizanne, Eldana. Okay. Well, what I'm going to talk about today is more on our Starry Starry Night Socks. Here is my second one. I'm almost done. Yay! I hope to finish this one today. So this is the mate. I did them in reverse colorways. Aren't those cool? And I haven't blocked these yet. Soon as I finish this one, I'm going to make a video on blocking them, and I'll block one and not the other. So that you can compare and see the difference in the fabric, and it'll be a video, so you'll be able to see the motion of the fabric, how it changes. Aren't they pretty? I just love them. When I was knitting this one, I thought it was my favorite. Now when I'm knitting this one, I think it's my favorite, but I like them both. One thing you can do, a lot of people are worried about wonky stitches and stuff. Something that I do in all my knitting, but especially in stranded knitting, I go like this to my fabric, and I'm really pulling on it, and it kind of evens out all your stitches. And I might go like this, But after I do it long ways, you always have to do it again sideways because otherwise the stitches get elongated. This really kind of helps even out the fabric and will get rid of some of your wonky stitches. So before you get too upset about wonky stitches, try doing that. It just really evens and smooths everything out and gets rid of any puckering, or it might not get rid of all of it, but it'll get rid of a lot of it. And blocking will probably get rid of a lot more. Again, it may not get rid of all of it depending on how tight you were holding your strands, but it will improve it. So don't despair if in your raw knitting, I call this raw knitting because it hasn't been blocked yet. If in your raw knitting you notice some unevenness and some puckering, don't get upset about it because a lot of that will go away in blocking, okay? I also wanted to show you something else. You know, I am a big procrastinator, and I hope that you can just accept that's part of my personality. I am a very productive procrastinator because when I'm procrastinating, I get a lot done, and that is my excuse for procrastinating. But I'm finally finishing up the ITAG cardigan, okay? Here is my little prototype of a hood. I have 2 hoods that people can do. This one is, I don't know if I've seen another one like it, and maybe you all can help me do my research. It's not quite done. I have a few more rows to go, but I worked it just like a short row heel. So it's like a short row hood. I use German short rows here. I don't know. They're not my favorite in this hood, but it gives you an idea of what this little hood is going to look like. This is my little baby prototype sweater, the top of the sweater. And then it would have whatever your ribbing, whatever your edging design that's going to come up the front of your sweater would go around the hood too. I kind of like it. So I'm working out the measurements. And the way I'm figuring it out is this. I'm having you measure from here to here. So you would measure like this, you know, straight up. And then you would hold another ruler like this and get that measurement, right? So on me, it is 10 inches. Then another measurement you can do is from side to side. It's like, how wide is your head? My head is about 5.5 inches wide. I think the average head might be 6 inches. Maybe I have a skinny head. So the hood has to go up, for me, it has to go up 10 inches here, 6 inches here, and another 10 inches here. So that's how you can figure out how much of a hood you're going to need. And I'm putting all that and plus little diagrams in that part of the pattern. The other hood is the standard hood where you knit it up from here to here and then you do a Kitchener. But I'm making short rows back here so you don't end up with that big point. Although I am giving people the option, if they like the point, I have the directions for the point, which is just knitting straight up and Kitchenering. But if they like a rounded back here and they don't want a point, the directions go up to here until about 3 inches from the top, and then you're going to work short rows. They're going to go back here and not all the way back. And then when you Kitchener, it'll go around like this and give you a smoother hood. Then you'll come up and do your band around. Now, both of these hoods, this one, for example, because it's knit straight up this way, if you had a back cable, you could continue the cable up over the hood and all the way to the front for this style. You cannot do a cable that comes from your front all the way around the top. That won't work for this style. But the other hat that I have, the other one where you knit straight up with the short rows back here, you can carry your cable from the front all the way up over the hood and down. Actually, it's going to come up here and you'll Kitchener up here. So, and plus the directions for the zippers. Speaking of the zippers, I'm writing in there. I've got most of the writing done. It's just adding the little pictures and diagrams. This is tape that I like, and I had to order some new because my old got old. It was about probably 40 years old. It's if you find it under quilting supplies, it's a double sticky tape. And it's more like, you may be familiar with this if you're a quilter, but it's got this hard surface here that peels off and leaves you this surface, which is kind of like a very thin interfacing this part, but this part is sticky on both sides. This part here is sticky on both sides. So what I do is I put it along the zipper, and then I put my knitting on top of it. So then you can place your knitting exactly where you want it on the zipper. And I really prefer this to pins, and this holds it really good. And it's washable, it dissolves when you get it wet. I prefer this to pins because pins tend to distort your fabric when you're trying to sew the knitting in onto the zipper. And I'm giving directions for doing it by hand or machine knitting. Hopefully I'll be able to get a little video up doing the machine knitting for a zipper too. So that just kind of finishes up the ITAG cardigan. I hope to be completely done with it out of my house by tomorrow. The English version will go to Francoise, will finish up the French version. And when she has that done, then I will send it all out to you. So it'll be a couple more days, but it is very close and it's real. It's not me just talking about it. So I hope that's helpful to the people that want to finish their sweater with a hood and or zipper. Okay, so let's see. Let's see if we have any questions over here. Boy, Japan, Santa Fe. Oh, I did make the same mistake twice on the second sock. I'll tell you about that in a second. Okay. Okay, I hope I'm not missing anybody. If you do write a question and you forget to, and I don't answer it, I just don't see it, just ask it again. It's okay. It's easier because there's so many comments over here and I'm not real good at reading those and talking to you at the same time. So I kind of go back and forth. Okay. Luana says she's swatching for her brioche buttonholes. It's very hard for me. Ripped it out 3 times. Yeah, keep doing it on your swatch. You don't want to do that on your sweater. Great that you're swatching. Aren't you glad you learned about that? Okay. Hello from Jamaica. Wow. Oh, Priscilla, you're from Brazil. That's right. Thank you. Okay, Melanie. Question. Do you see thumbs up or count tonight? I see 0 thumbs up. Thank you for telling me. There's some strange thing going on YouTube right now. Like on all of my live streams, when I go back and look to see how many views there are, it says 0. And I know it's not 0. So there's something weird going on YouTube. Okay. And Sue M says Z twist ply is less common. S ply is twist most common. If your yarn unplies, it could be ply twist versus your knitting style. I could do a video in spinning and the past YouTube channel and posted it. Yes, you can do that. You can post it on your YouTube channel. And you know, Sue M's YouTube channel is linked to mine. So if you go to my main page, you'll see a link to her YouTube channel up there. Okay. Elise from El Salvador. Bonnie Davis. She says, did I make the same mistake on the second sock? I did on purpose. There's the boo-boo right there. 2 diamonds in a row. So that's on here. So they're matching, other than the colors are reversed. There's my 2 diamonds in a row. Yep, and I'm almost done. I'm to the toe. Okay. For those that don't know the pattern for this, it's actually this pattern is what shows on the main web page, the Starry Starry Night Socks. It's just, I just plugged in a different stitch pattern. Once this video is done, probably tomorrow when I put the timestamps on that Diana Danko makes for me, I'll put a link to the pattern there. Jennifer Wish says, question, what makes the single stitches disappear? Good question. So let's say one of your little stitches is not showing up. Most likely, there's 2 scenarios. One is that the stitch that's missing, that yarn's being held too tight, The other scenario is that the other yarn is too loose and overwhelming it. So the first thing I would try is tightening up the other yarn a little bit. If that doesn't fix the problem, then try loosening the yarn that is the disappearing stitch. Oh, this design, this is Suzanne. She says, I have the Starry Starry Night Sock pattern. She's looking for this design. It's in lesson 2 of the knit along that you got. I sent out in the last couple of weeks for the Starry Starry Night pattern people. So look in your Ravelry library, Suzanne, and see if it's there. It's in lesson 2 of the knit along. If it's not there, let me know. Contact me on Ravelry. I'm knitting Suzanne on Ravelry. Just contact me and let me know, and I will find out why it's not in your Ravelry library, okay? Francine, hello. Okay. Okay, beautiful, blah, 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 blah. Let me see. Sue M, steam a seam, we call it. I don't steam the knitting, though. I just use that sticky stuff, so it just sticks without having to steam. It's very convenient. Gisan, question, with the starry, will the starry pattern in French too? Yes, it is in French. Françoise has been translating it. The whole pattern's in French, and then all of the knit along sections have been in French too. So yes, and it's also in German, and I think it's in 4 or 5 languages altogether. I can't tell you all, but it's in a lot of different languages. Thank you, Susan, for letting me know about the thumbs up. Thank you. Okay, Amaris says, how to get a better fit. That's in the knit along, is how to get a better fit. Hello, Margot. Nancy in Portland. Oh, Valerie says she's just saying a quick hi because she's not feeling well. One quick question. I think there might be a missing decrease on the charts between the heel turn and the sole charts. There is, and I have corrected that, and it either came out with the last update or it'll be coming out this Tuesday with the current update. Yes, there is a decrease, meaning sharp eye. Very good. Okay. D Verity says, how do you knit your edges in 2-row color changes on scarves? I have a video on that, and I'll link it down below tomorrow. It's how to change colors at the edges for 2-row color changes. I'll put that for you, okay? And Mary says, question, are you releasing Starry Starry Mitts in this week's update this week? Yes, I am. It'll be out on Tuesday. Exciting, huh? I can't wait. And you'll be able to do any of the patterns, and I tell you how to size it for your hand and the whole thing, you know. Okay. Amorous says, questions, how can I get a better fitting sock while using color work? When you're doing color work, for example, do you see how big this looks? This looks huge, doesn't it? And it does have 80 stitches, and normally I use 60 stitches for a sock for me, and it's probably about this wide. But color work does not stretch. And when you're knitting a regular sock that's just one color, nothing fancy, it has about 10% stretch to it. So if your foot is, let's say, 8.5 inches in circumference around the ball of your foot, your sock could be like 7.5 inches circumference, and it would fit really good. But this needs to be 8.5 inches because there is very little stretch to it. So you have to have a lot more stitches. The way you determine it is by knitting a swatch and figuring out your stitch gauge, measuring your foot, and seeing how many stitches you need based upon your gauge. Okay. Angela says, ciao. Okay, this is from Vanny Prakash. Question, I didn't see any direct foot measurements in Starry Starry Night Socks like in the first ITAG. Did I miss any lesson? In the, was it lesson 2? I told you where to measure your foot. I'll double check on that. I better write it in my book. I was going to say somebody should remind me, but I have my bullet journal and I love it. So I'm going to write that down. So I'll check on that, okay? And I will make sure that that is included. I'm going to check on that tomorrow. Check on foot measurements in Starry Starry Night Sock knit along. I will do that tomorrow, okay? Okay. Debbie Red Rose Knitter. Regarding YouTube, I'm watching on the YouTube app. If I turn the live chat off, I can scroll to the top of the page and hit thumbs up. You now have 107 watching and 45 thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you. So what I'm watching on is actually my live recording part. So I'm watching as I'm recording it. I'm not really I am watching on YouTube, but I'm watching in the recording mode. So I can't see all the extra things that you guys can see. Okay, Suzanne said she found the design on pages 7 and 8 of part 2, where she was asking about this. And there is a third design as well, which somebody has knit up that's absolutely beautiful. Cindy Jones. Hi, Cindy. She says she loves these live shows. They are fun. Hello. Hello. Very fun. Sharon Henderson. Hello to you. Diane Villers, I have not given the directions for it, but here's my little prototype of my short row hood. And I've got the directions written up. I need to finalize it. I need to add, I'm going to take a picture of this little hood. I need to add some diagrams in there and some more information. And then it's going to go off to Francoise, who's going to translate it into French. And I suspect that it might be ready on Tuesday or Wednesday and be final. Yay! And then I'm going to start knitting my ITAG number 2. The ITAG yoke. I have it all planned out and I'm going to start knitting it. I need to stay one step ahead of you guys. Okay. Valerie Dunham says, thank you so much for all of your knowledge. As always, I'm so excited about the mitts. Everyone enjoys the rest of the live stream. I'll watch the rest later. Okay. Take care. Have a good day. Okay. Antoinette Makoko. Hi, Suzanne from New York City. Thank you for helping me understand that gauge is so important. I no longer look at a pattern to determine how many stitches to cast on. I use my own numbers from my own swatches. Yep. And it gives you so much freedom. It's unbelievable. After a while, you'll be able to knit anything you want to knit. Okay. This is from D. Verti. Remember, if you want to ask me a question, put question in all caps. It's easier for me to find it, okay? But D. Verti says, if you're doing a very delicate scarf with very fine yarn, how do you pick up the yarn so that the pickup looks pleasing? We are twisting the edges for the pickup counterclockwise. I'm not really sure. I pick up stitches from stitches. If you're going picking up horizontally, going up. But if you're picking up from rows, I figure out my ratio between how many rows per inch and how many stitches per inch, and I pick up in that ratio so that I don't get puckering or flaring. So the stitches are even. I don't have anything here to show you as a sample of that. I'm sorry. Okay, so I have some other things to show today, okay? I have this yarn. I want to show you this little swatch. And I don't know if you can see that the V's are skewed. Can you see that? In the green ones, it's really easy to see, and the blue. Do you see how the V's are not like this? They're actually like this, okay? And sometimes when you see that in your knitting, you think there must be something that you're doing wrong. But it's not, it's the yarn. So if we look at these yarns, we can look at this blue one right here. Do you see how it looks like it's twisted really tight? but it's not twisted really tight. What it is that it's, in fact, it's twisted very loosely. There's hardly any twist to it at all. But the twist, this particular twist is going in this is an S twist, and then it probably has 8 plies. I'm guessing, but I'll bet there's 8 plies. Well, it looks like this one has 6 plies, and each one of those is 2 plies, and they are also worked in the S twist. And then each one of the 2 plies is very, very fine. And I'll bet you they're also twist. If I pull it apart, it comes apart. They're also an S twist. And normally when you're spinning a yarn, if you're hand spinning and you want your V's to be balanced like this, you would spin the individual singles in one direction. And then when you put the singles together, you would ply them in the opposite direction. That is what balances the spin. But there are some yarns that do not do that. And usually these yarns are not made by hand spinners or for hand spinning. This is yarn where the company has purchased the very, very, very fine singles that come from commercial manufacturing. So the commercial plants that create the fiber, the yarn, the thread for commercial products like this shirt, which is the stitches are so small you can hardly see them, they make very, 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 very fine yarn. It's so fine that we would not be able to knit with it, but it's commercially made. But then other companies will purchase that very, very fine yarn and they ply them together several times. Like these are singles and they're plied into a 2. There's 2 in each one of these. And then there's 6 of these plied together again. So this is like, there's 12 individual strands in here. And this is probably sport weight yarn. So it's very, very fine. You know, there are other yarns like Carabella Aurora 8. It has 6, it also has 16. But there are 2 individual plies into 8. Well, this has 12, huh? There's 6 and then 12. It has 16, 2 individual plies into 8s and then the 8s. And it has this very, very twisted look. It's called cable ply or chain. Yeah, it's cable ply. Do you see it has a very unique look to it? I have several others. This is the same thing. It just has this is kind of a heathered. It's not a normal spin. In fact, it looks like it almost looks like an I-cord or something. This is the same thing in cotton. I don't know if you can see this, but it doesn't look like a normal spin. Then the same thing can happen. You can get the same phenomenon if you're working with a single. So if this is only one strand. This is a single. It's not plied at all. This will have a directional V. It'll either go this way or this way, depending on how it was spun. So anytime you buy a single, like Madeline Tosh has her Merino Light and those types of things, those are all singles. They will produce the lopsided V. The other yarn, it's pretty easy to identify it. It just has this, you see? I'm trying to get it focused here and big so you can see it. It just has a very odd looking twist to it. It looks like it's twisted really, really tight, but it is not. Okay, that's on that. Did that answer your questions about that? Let's see. Okay, Carol Brasino, question. I'm up to knitting the 2-inch flaps for the ITAG pockets. Do I have to make cable compensation for the front cables? I believe you did the compensation for us in the pattern. Am I right? This is what I would do. For the pockets, the pocket lining, which is this part, which is going to come down here on the inside of your sweater, from here to here. See, that was the edge of my lining to here. It needs to be the same width as the bottom of your pocket. That's what really matters. So here's the bottom of your pocket right here to here, okay? From here to here. Measure that, lay it out and measure it. And then figure out how many stitches to the inch that is in stockinette stitch fabric. And that's how many stitches you need to have on your bottom flap. Okay, does that answer your question? That's just another way to skin the cat. You can do it that way too, and it'll work out just perfect. Okay, Kathy Trikowska, she finally made it. She's from Australia. How's the weather down there? Is it still blazing hot? We'll send some of our cold down there, and you can send some of your heat up here. Okay, Lazy Moose BC. Question from Micheline. My gauge is never close enough to patterns. I want to knit. Any suggestions on how to adapt a pattern to your gauge tutorial or books? First of all, are you close to the patterns or way off? You should be fairly close. If you're way off, then what you need to do is work on trying to figure out why you are way off, what it is that you're doing. I have a very good video. It's called Even Tension, and I'll link it below in the bottom of this. You might want to take a look at it. Basically, you shouldn't be off more than a stitch an inch when you're trying to match gauge for a pattern. But on the other hand, if you just want to match to your gauge, my tutorials, that's what my tutorials are all about. We start with a gauge swatch, and then we create our whole thing from the gauge swatch and from our body measurements. I have a tutorial on doing that for a fingerless mitt. I have a tutorial for doing it on a hat. I also have a sock tutorial. I have the one ITAG sweater tutorial so far. We're coming out with a second one real soon. They all start with a swatch. So it doesn't matter how you're knitting, but if you like your swatch, then that's what you go from, okay? Jilly Lynn, Woolmies has that twist too. The Woolmies DK has that twist. The regular, the fingering weight does not. I think and the lace garn does not, but the DK has that twist too, yes. So these yarns that are not balanced are not hand spun. These are all machine created yarns, okay? Mary Inman, question, are you interviewing Charles today? No, that is on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday on February 6th. I have Charles all lined up. We're going to have fun. He'll be on at the beginning of the interview. So that'll be at the beginning of the live stream. That'll be close to 12 o'clock Pacific time. That's when Charles will be on. Champ Smith says Sublime. Yes, Sublime has that same twist. Yes. Okay, MK Williams says, love knitting lace. Is it possible to get the chart for the lace shawl in your blocking video? That blocking video is in association with a tutorial that I have on lace knitting, and that little pattern is in with the lace knitting. But I made one of them into a standalone pattern. You can look on my Ravelry page and see if you can find it. My pattern page. Kathy from Australia says it's cooler today where she is. Parts of the country, however, are suffering devastating floods and fires. Oh my goodness. Melanie says your videos are so much better than any Super Bowl. So glad you're here. Thank you. Well, thank you. That's a big compliment. Okay, Sue M says, question, can Starry Starry Night Sock be done toe up? Would be interested is that version. Could help if interest. The problem with doing the toe up version is the sole. This part, yes, easy to do toe up. This part, it could be converted. Yes, it can be done. I don't have time to do it right now, but it can be done. If you want to help me do it, you're more than welcome to. It's okay with me if you want to help doing that. I would appreciate it. Naturecraft says, uh-oh, I'm crocheting again. We're going to spank you with a wet noodle. You need to use 2 needles. Okay. Lazy Moosebeck, thanks, Suzanne. I already downloaded your fingerless mitt tutorial. Connie Camp, question, please tell us the name of your sock tutorial you just mentioned. I don't think you were referring, no, it's not Starry Starry Night, and I have not ever uploaded it to a Ravelry yet. I need to do that. I might do that in 2 or 3 weeks. I use it in live classes in Bakersfield. I've been using it for years, and it's the same thing. We start with a swatch, measure our foot. I show you how to measure your foot. I'll put it up and real soon. I need to do a little bit of editing to it, and then I will put it up. Let me put that in my book. Let's see. I have a page for future projects, and I can add that Starry Starry Night toe up, Starry Starry Night sock toe up, and the sock tutorial. Okay, they're on my list. Good. Okay. Okay. Kathy again, regarding plies and twists, there are 2 links I refer to provide excellent information. Thank you. Do you see the link she's put on here so you can check those out? Okay, so let me see. There was one question over here from Ravelry, and this is from Jaw 1045. She says, do you use corrugated ribbing just for the design element, and does it go over the foot okay? Yes, I use it for the design element. I think it adds to the pattern a lot. The reason I like it is because we have all these stripes going on down here and stripes here and stripes here, and it kind of carries them through. I think it balances the look of the sock versus standard ribbing, but it also does help prevent curl. It's not as good at preventing curl as regular standard one color ribbing, but it does help prevent curl, especially after you've blocked it. And this hasn't been blocked yet. Neither one of my socks has been blocked yet, but after you block it, it won't curl at all. And it does go over my foot, but you need a lot of stitches. Hence, this has 80 stitches instead of 60 that I would use for a standard sock. Susan Powell says she clicked the link, Kathy, and it's not working. Okay, anything else you guys want to talk about? I do have a book to share. Knitting with 2 Colors by Meg Swansen and Amy Detjen. This is, if you like stranded knitting, this is worth having in your library. It's not very big. It's only 64 pages, but it's jam-packed full of tips and things to help you with your stranded knitting. You know how you have those questions like, how do you deal with the underside of the sleeve where the 2 designs come together, where the design comes together and you're decreasing? How do you deal with that? She tells you how. She tells you how to balance stitch patterns across your fabric, how to work short row shaping in the round, which I've done. I did that on my Into the Jungle cardigan. She talks you about making decreases and increases in stranded knitting, how to make steeks, how to prepare the steeks. So, oh, and look at this pretty foot pattern. Similar to the one I did, but different. Very similar, but different. So you can make these designs on the bottom of the foot. How to pick up stitches around an edge so it fits nice. Finishing tips. How to, hold your needles, all that sort of stuff. Here's about the sleeves and making the color patterns line up. And she talks about jogless jogs in here, which is really hard to find on stranded knitting. In fact, I think this is the only book I've found specific information about avoiding the jog in stranded knitting. I just love this book. So for the people that are going to be doing the ITAG yoke and want to do their yoke in stranded and maybe want to do a steek down the front, this has a lot of useful information in it. Okay. Any other questions? We may have a short day today. I've only been on here for 40 minutes. Okay, Claudio says, is it possible to mix corrugated ribbing with tubular cast-ons? Yes, it is, but you're going to have a single color to start with, and then you would join in your second color. And one thing I do is, like I show you in the Starry Starry Night Sock, the very first row, I do knit one of one color, knit one of the other color. So in the second row, when you start with the pearl, one of the colors is purling, you don't have any of those bicolored pearls. So you just have to keep that in mind. You can start with a tubular cast on. You can even start in one of the sweaters that I made. It gives a similar effect as this rolled effect I have on my socks. I started with an I-cord cast on. An I-cord cast on is very cool. And then you can do your corrugated ribbing right after. It gives a little thicker effect than this on the edge, but I really like it for around the, and you can do I-cord bind off on, in fact, I think I did that on my Into the Jungle cardigan. I did an I-cord bind. Let me go get it. Hold on. I'm going to go into the other room. No, I just did a standard bind off on this. Let me check the wrists. Yeah, I just did a standard bind off, but on other garments where I've used corrugated ribbing, actually this is brioche, isn't it? It's not corrugated ribbing, but, and you can use brioche too. Brioche is wonderful for giving you that same effect as the corrugated ribbing, but it is reversible, whereas corrugated ribbing is not reversible, okay? Antoinette says, question, does a tubular cast-on make corrugated stretchier? No, the cast-on is not what limits this here. It's the corrugated ribbing. Corrugated ribbing has very little stretch to it. That's just the nature of corrugated ribbing. Gisan wants to know, did I write books too? No, I don't write books, but I write long patterns. For example, the ITAG yoke, the ITAG cardigan tutorial is right now 60 pages long, and there's probably going to be another 7 or 8 pages. So it's going to be close to 70. It's like writing a book. And all of my tutorials like that, I have one on color work, and it's quite a few pages, and the one on lace knitting is also quite a few pages. Okay, Judy says, when will your next knit along be and what will you be doing? The next knit along is going to start on February 15th, and we're going to be making a yoke sweater of your own design. It's the way I teach these knit alongs is you start by picking the yarn you want to use and the needles you want to use, knitting a swatch, seeing if you like your fabric. If you don't like the fabric, you change needle sizes, experiment around till you have fabric that you like for your pullover or cardigan. Then I teach you how to measure your body, how to create a schematic for your sweater. And then from that, we learn how to calculate how much yarn you're going to need for your sweater from your swatch and your schematic, so you can figure out your own yardage calculations and getting enough in there to add some for swatching too. And then I teach you all the different elements that you need for putting in something into the yoke, how to raise the back neck up. This is going to be top down. And you can either make it open in the front or a pullover, all of that stuff. It's a ton of stuff, but you learn so many things all along the way. Okay, M.K. Williams, just realized when you said if you have a question, put it in caps, you meant the word question, not the whole question. Oops. She really wasn't angry. That's okay. I could see it easily. Connie Camp, question about the ITAG. Will those cables still work if I do it bottom up? You could do it bottom up and the cables will still work just fine, yes. Have you guys been, and this is G. Vanus from France. Hello from France. Um, have you guys been looking at the pictures of people's completed cardigans on Ravelry? They are, and Facebook. They are so beautiful. Oh my goodness. I am so proud of all of you. And then the Starry Starry Night Socks. A lot of people are really getting those done. And they're just gorgeous, just gorgeous. You're all doing such a fantastic job. Okay, Jennifer says her daughter says her Starry Starry Night socks should be called Cinderella socks because they'll be cute to see who they fit. How cute. But you know, see, so people don't believe me in the beginning when I tell you you need to cast on 80 stitches, because if you think that that's just going to be big and you can't get past that and you've cast on fewer stitches, it's going to be too little, because this is 80 stitches and I have skinny feet and these fit me perfectly. So the problem is making them bigger, and which is in the knit along. I teach you how to do that. Okay. Oh, you want to see the green sweater? Okay, this is called Into the Jungle. I love this. This is my own design, and I'm not writing a pattern for it. It's just my own personal work of art. It's just a cardigan. See? Oh, on one side I have my name and the date. Oh, it's over here. See? I have the date and my name. And that's one method of matching up your front and your back. Do you see that? So I have my front, and I wanted it to match the back, like up here at the shoulder. So I wanted it to match here perfectly. So what you do is you don't worry to try to make it even from front to back. You put in, and I learned this from Meg Swansen, you put in a little design on the side here. So I just took an element of the design and put it down the side. So this comes to it. Then there's that element, and then it starts off. And it goes pretty well, see? It's not really interrupting the sweater. And I learned how to make my decreases up my sleeve, so everything goes in there. And I wanted to have, I love shawl collars. So I wanted to have a shawl collar on this, and corrugated ribbing does not allow for for a shawl collar. You need to have a reversible fabric. So that's when, and it took me forever, like a year, to figure out how I wanted to do the shawl collar. And I finally came thinking brioche. Brioche will look close enough to the effect of corrugated ribbing. So this is my sweater. I love it. Okay. Okay. Jacqueline says, question, can you tell us first timers again how we can sign up for the knit alongs? Thanks. This YouTube live is very helpful. Go to Ravelry and there'll be a link tomorrow. Come back to this video tomorrow. It'll be in my video stream. Just my video list. Just come to this video and look at go down below the video to the information about the video. There's a little arrow somewhere over here, and you just click the arrow and it opens up the information below. And I'll have a link to my Ravelry group. And I also have a Facebook group, and that's where we talk about the knit-alongs, and you'll get all the information there. Also, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel and then hit the little bell thing so you get notifications, anytime I put up a new video or I'm going to go live like today, you'll get a notification and then you can join in. Okay. Okay. So, and anybody can join. You don't have to be an expert knitter, because I tell you from the ground up as if you've never done anything. Okay. You do not have to be an expert. And this is how you learn to become an expert. Judy Kruger, oh, how do you sign up for the knit? So I answered that. Mary Inman, question, for the yoke sweater, do you have any yarn characteristics, requirements suggested, like plies, etc.? You can make it out of anything you want. I would go anywhere from a fingering to a bulky. I'm not going to write anything for super bulky or lace weight. So everything will be between fingering and bulky. Just whatever fabric you like, try some yarn and knit up a swatch and see if you like the fabric. I'm one of those people when I first started knitting, oh my God, I'd go into a yarn store and I would be attracted by color first. And there were times when I would just buy a skein because I liked the color, and I would get home and find out it was lace weight. And I wasn't really intending lace weight, but I hadn't stopped to look at the yarn itself. I was just looking at the color. So you have to go up and, when I get a skein, I examine it. I go up and I untwist. I don't have any samples of a skein here, but I take one of the strands and I untwist it with my fingers and I look at it. I look to see how is it made before I buy it. And I've learned that the hard way. Okay. Any other questions? Did you learn anything new today? I hope so. I never know what's going to come out of my mouth. I kind of let you guys guide me. I just go with the flow. G from France says, I love socks. Do you sell to France? Anyone can buy my patterns on Ravelry. They sell all over the world. In fact, I probably sell more patterns to people outside the United States than I do to people inside the United States. But just go to Ravelry, look for Suzanne Bryan, and you can see the patterns that I have for sale there. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to this channel. You can join my group on Ravelry, join my group on Facebook, share my videos with your friends. I do make money from YouTube, but it's not very much. Right now, I'm getting about 230,000 views a month, and I'm making less than $500 from that. So it takes a lot of $500 a month. So it takes a lot of views and a lot of subscribers to make any money on Ravelry. And I have a lot of views, but I need to have, more. I wouldn't mind making more than 400 or 500. I wouldn't mind making $1,000 a month. It's okay. It supports my knitting habit. Okay, any other questions? So, I've been thinking about what I want to call these live streams. And in the beginning, I called them ITAG Q&A. That's when we were doing the It Takes a Guild cardigan, but we're kind of winding down on that. So I'm just calling them Live with Suzanne and putting the date. I don't know, and I never know in advance really what the information is going to be that we're going to talk about. It's just really off the top of my head, so it's not planned. I don't rehearse or anything like that. So each episode has different information in it. It's kind of diverse. But if you have any ideas for what I should call my live streams, send them my way. I would appreciate that. Anything else? Yes, Charles is going to be here with me on Wednesday, and you will be able to ask him questions. And he'll answer whatever you want. It'll be, again, live. It's not pre-recorded. It's not, we don't rehearse or plan what we're going to say. He's like me. He can just talk off the top of his head. Carlotta says, the Suzanne Show. Thank you, Carlotta. I would love to meet every single one of you in person. Wouldn't that be fun? Oh, but speaking of that, I will be at Stitches West in February. I think it's the 20th to the 24th in Santa Clara, California. I had signed up for one class. My one class got canceled. So I need to sign up for another class. But I'll be there, and I'll just be hanging out in the lobby or walking around in the marketplace. If you want to come up and talk to me, feel free. If you knitted one of my projects, bring it and show it to me. I'd love to see it. Susan McBride says she doesn't have a name, but she feels like she's a guest in my home. Thank you. That's how I want you to feel. So like you should bring your coffee. This is green tea. Maybe I should say coffee with Suzanne, huh? Or coffee and knitting with Suzanne. Okay. That's time enough for everybody to submit their questions. We'll see you on Wednesday with Charles. Okay? I think you're really going to like him. We practiced once, and we're going to practice again on Tuesday so that he gets connectivity. and we'll see how it goes. And if it goes well, then I'm going to interview other people. Maybe once a month or so, I'll have somebody on here live that we can all talk to and ask questions. Okay. So we'll see you later. Have a good Sunday. I'm going to go back to work on my short. Oh, if you see a pattern or anything anywhere about a short row hood like this, send me a link to it or something. Okay. I want to see if anybody else has done a short row hood. Okay. That's all. See you next time. Love you all. Bye bye.